Now, this news is breaking. Russia has closed airspace to flights from Bulgaria, Poland, Czech Republic. Once again, Russia has closed its airspace to flights from Bulgaria, Poland, and the Czech Republic. Russia said Saturday it was closing its airspace to flights from Bulgaria, Poland, and the Czech Republic in response to punishment of Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. The Federal Air Transport Agency, Aviation, said, and I quote, "Air carriers of these states and or registered in them are subject to restrictions on flights to destinations on the territory of the Russian Federation, including transit flights through the airspace of the Russian Federation." End of quote. The measure is set to go into effect from today. Meanwhile, Estonia has closed its airspace for Russian flights. Once again, Russia has closed its airspace to flights from Bulgaria, Poland, and the Czech Republic. Russia said on Saturday it was closing its airspace to flights from Bulgaria, Poland, and the Czech Republic in response to punishment of Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. The Federal Air Transport Agency, Aviation, said, and I quote, "Air carriers of these states and or registered in them are subject to restrictions on flights to destinations on the territory of the Russian Federation, including transit flights through the airspace of the Russian Federation." End of quote. The measure is set to go into effect from today, and meanwhile, Estonia has closed its airspace for Russian flights. India's External Affairs Ministry is working round the clock to assure the safe return of Indian nationals stuck in Ukraine. In the latest update, more batches of Indian students have arrived in Hungary from the Zahony crossing and will be travelling to Budapest, from where they will return on the special Air India evacuation flight. Meanwhile, Indians that crossed border into Romania have left for Mumbai via a special evacuation flight. The flight is expected to land at around 6:30 p.m. local time. This is the first flight from the Romania to India after the Russia-Ukraine crisis escalated into a fully blown invasion.
I know that you have come through a very long and arduous road journey. So the last thing in your mind is an announcement by the ambassador. But before you left, I thought I'll just say hello to you. You are in the last leg of the journey back home, where your relatives, friends and family will be waiting.
In its latest advisory, New Delhi has urged all nationals not to move to any of the border posts without prior coordination with Indian officials. The latest statement says that situation at many checkpoints is extremely sensitive. The Indian government is working closely with Poland, Slovakia and Romania to ensure safe return of its citizens. But according to officials, it is becoming increasingly difficult to help nationals cross over to other nations. Everyone has been advised to stay calm and use their limited supplies of food, water and medicines wisely. Vaccine certificate or a negative COVID report is mandatory to enter India, but the government has decided to exempt those fleeing from Ukraine. The decision has been taken on humanitarian grounds. For more on this, we earlier spoke to Harsh V. Pant, who is a distinguished fellow and head of Observer Research Foundation's Strategic Studies program from New Delhi.
At a number of levels. One, of course, is if the hostilities continue to rise, the evacuation of Indian citizens becomes even more difficult. So while at the moment evacuation is happening gradually but surely, I think if hostilities continue to rise and if the bloodshed and destruction continues, then I think it would be very difficult to save a lot of our citizens from the trauma that they are going through at the moment. The other important aspect is global economy. Global economy, which was which had been coming out of recession, COVID-19, just beginning to see some blooming of global economic scenario. We are now back to square one with high prices of fuel, with high prices of energy, with high prices of food. So I think the challenge now is how do you make sure that this conflict remains confined, that that de-escalation happens rapidly, and that countries go back to doing what they are supposed to do, that is building back their economies, which with one stroke Russia has ensured that we have gone back years. So I think there are these priorities, plus the priority for India being that that global order that is changing so rapidly, where global contestation has been rising in any case. With this conflict, I think Russia has ensured that between West and Russia and China, the contestation is even going to be stronger, and that would make India's life, like many other countries' life, more difficult.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.